Today on the Mud Pit Garage, Pops is going to continue on with part 2 on changing a boat trailer into a utility trailer. Now, if you remember when we left off the first, we tacked in this piece across the front, which will be the front. Let's make sure it's square. Alright, it's looking pretty square. And mind you, it's just tacked in because it's pretty square. Alright, so what we got to do now, we got to come down here on this end. We got to swap this thing around here. And we got to cut this bad end off. We're going to cut it off probably right around there someplace. Same on that end. We're going to clean it up. We'll have to get another piece so that we can make this guy a total of 8 feet. 8 foot long, okay? So, if I cut that off, we'll get rid of this piece of junk here. And I think we need about 62 and a half, 62 and 5/8, something like that. So, let's get to work. You might have remembered from the first video, we made a mark right here, center punched it so that it wouldn't go away. And this is right above, basically center line of that axle. We're going to measure from there down to, I think, about 40 inches. Make a mark there, and that's where we're going to cut. And we're going to do the same on the other side. Okay, that's our mark. I'll get the rotor band. I'll get this thing knocked out. And that'll mean the end of this. Then we're going to have to cut off a couple of pieces kind of roughly, weld them on, and then we will cut again from there. Stay tuned. Okay, I got to clean these ends up. Got to pardon the fan. I use this fan to help blow this galvanized paint off of there as I'm grinding. I got a N95 respirator on too. That stuff's nothing to play with, and it's got to be cleaned off. You can't arc through it. So anyway, let's go. Okay, so we got this grinding done. Try to clean this stuff off, get it back about a ½ inch or so. Try to square up the edges if they were not square. That rotor band sometimes gets things a little bit off when the band moves. Okay, so that's square. Now let's take and let's make a couple of pieces. We'll put them on the ends here, tack them in, weld them up, and then we'll measure it up and we can cut and make sure we've got our 8 foot, and then we'll cut a piece for our back end piece. Okay, I need two 15-inch pieces. This is just a little bit short for that, so I'm going to get one 15-inch piece out of this, and then out of another piece. Okay, we got them cleaned up. This is what they look like. Try to get, cut back off all that galvanized inside and out. I did not do anything to these ends because once we get those ends welded up, we'll be measuring and cutting them, so we'll have to grind them anyway. So let's get these things fitted up. Come on, guns, give me some hand here. Okay, here we go. We're going to fit up the left side. And what I've done is I've got a piece of scrap angle iron, and I've put a C-clamp on one side, C-clamp on the other side. So to try to get things level, going to leave a little bit of a gap. And that's because I want good penetration in this thing. We'll weld up the inside of it. Then we'll grind on the front to open it up. Make sure we get a good solid weld. So what we'll do is here, take this straight edge, we'll put it here. Looks pretty straight. I like that. If we put it on the top, it'll look pretty good. I'm going to assume the bottom is good because it's sitting on a piece of straight angle iron. Alright, so this guy is ready to tack up. It'll probably be a bit of a pain in the tail to keep straight, but shouldn't be too big of a deal. We'll just have to take our time with it. So that's it. So here's the first fit up for this piece. Stay tuned and we will get the other pieces tacked up and ready also. Okay, so here we go. I just did the inside. It's a 6011 rod, probably about a 30-second or more gap. I just whipped a really ugly ass bead in there and put a little grind on it. Got pretty good penetration in some places, slag in others. We'll burn it all out. So that's it. It's the first pass. Let's weld up the outside and take these clamps off. This piece on the bottom, weld the bottom up, and then grind it up, clean it up, and then we'll call this end done. Stay tuned. Okay, so we got it welded up. It's a big old Gorilla Weave with an old 6011 rod. Lord only knows how old those rods are. Ground the top down flat because that's where your board will go. It's pretty straight. I think it's gonna be just fine. And now it's time to fit up the other side and weld it up too. Stay tuned. Okay, we got those ends welded on. This one, left side looks pretty good, man. That is nice and straight. Got it welded up. Pretty happy with it. Now, we got this other side though. Check this out. Holy smoke. Alright. Looks like it's taking a hard right. Hard left, whichever way you're looking at it. So, that stinks. The second thing that stinks is that when I make a measurement, even before the place where I put in this new 1 foot piece, it's not even close to 62 5/8. So, first things first, let's straighten up this thing. Probably going to ask, well, what the hell are you going to do with that? Well, here's what we're going to do. Right here where we made that weld, I'm going to take my new toy plasma cutter and I'm going to cut right there on that part of the flange and right here on this part of the flange. And I'm going to cut them, and then I'm going to take my little friend here and we're going to persuade that piece of metal to straighten out enough, and then we'll weld it back. The great thing about metal, you mess up, you just cut it and weld it again. I was pretty happy. I got good penetration on these things. These are basically we're about 100% penetration, so they'd be good strong welds even without any backing plates or any crap like that. So yeah, so let's hook up my new toy, my titanium 45 amp plasma. Let's make these cuts and we'll straighten this thing out. Okay, I went and got his cousin. All right, that's a lot better. It's still pretty shy, but I think we're just going to have to cut the piece and just beat it in. You know, the old cut to suit. All right, it's time to cut this back piece. We've got the other pieces back on, a little straighter than they were, and it's time to cut this back piece 62 3/8, and we're going to notch it, and then we're going to tap it in, and we're going to see what we can get here. Okay, so we got this back piece cut. We got our pieces welded on. I got that side straightened out pretty good. Not bad anyway. We'll take this piece here in the back We'll knock it in. Looks like it's fitting pretty good. The notches worked pretty good. I used my little plasma machine to do the notching, and it works good. It just there's so much galvanized on this frame that you got to grind it up before you can get an arc. Still, we got to do one last thing before we tack in this back. All right, we are down now after we added that piece on. So now we're at 8 feet. We got to chop off about 1 inch off of each side, and yeah, about the seam over here. Take the rotor band. We'll cut that off. We'll tack in this piece in the back, and then probably call it a day. All right, stick with us. Okay, I put a strap on this dumb thing because it was just wide enough where the piece just kept trying to fall out. So, a little redneck engineering. Put a strap on something like this, crank it down a little bit, and it closes in the ends. Not too much, but just enough. And it's easy to adjust if you need to close it up a little bit more. So, we got the back end in. It's in pretty good shape. Lengthwise, we're 8 foot. We are square. We are pretty square again. We are 8 foot long. We are 62 and 5/8. So we're close to what we wanted. Now you can see what is going on with this thing. Now we have a full box here. We have the box, the body for that 8 foot trailer at 8x5, 5 and a little bit more actually. So that's it for today. It looks pretty good, and that's it for today. Pops out.